Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Heat Press for Profit podcast, and we are doing this live. So before I introduce myself and before I introduce the gentleman next to me, Donn, know that you are able to ask any questions, and we will answer those throughout our time together, or we'll definitely get to them at the end. So I'm Kelly Walters. And today I have the lovely opportunity to interview and question Donn Jobe Sr. And this man has been in business since 1996. And let me tell you, you guys are going to love his story today. He is with Team Logo Apparel, and we are going to talk about staying organized, finding customers, managing inventory, and the best part, discussing his mobile business printing with heat transfers on t-shirts and other branded merchandise. So Donn, thank you so much for your time. And you already know I am stoked to have this conversation with you.
Well, hello, Kelly, and thank you for being available to talk to me about it. And this is one conversation I love to have.
Well, this is a perfect pairing. I'm excited and we love talking about it. So you guys, let's dive in. And like I said, this is Donn, and he has been in business since 1996. So congratulations on 27 years or almost 27 years.
Thank you.
But can you give the viewers and those listening a little backstory on just how you started providing t-shirts in the Nashville area?
Well, I started, as a matter of fact, I had left the job, and it's always been a thing with my father and his brothers that we have to work. And I needed some income, and I didn't like where I was. And so one day I was at a business, and I'm a Christian, first of all, and I want everybody to understand that. God told me, I gave you a gift, and if you never use it, I'll take it away from you. And so I started designing Christian t-shirts. And so we started selling Christian t-shirts at live events, gospel events. And then there was a company or a Christian organization that came to Nashville called the Gospel Jubilee. And so we started selling, they would rent booths, and we rented a couple of booths for some years. And then we decided that we wanted to be the exclusive provider of their apparel. And they granted us that. And so we did the Gospel Jubilee for 3 years, selling Christian apparel and being the exclusive provider of apparel for their logo. We would put their logo on t-shirts. And so we did that. And my son, after several years, my son started playing youth football. And so we would do Gospel Jubilee shirts, Christian shirts, and we would do family reunion shirts. And then when my son started playing football, we developed into a little league or sports apparel, fan apparel. And that's how we started to grow the business. Every time a market opened, we reached out to that market and they received us. And so Team Logo Apparel was born. It wasn't called Team Logo Apparel at first. It was called something else. But we started with the high school and little league market. And we opened a kiosk in a mall we used to have here in Nashville called 100 Oaks Mall. And we would sell t-shirts out of the mall, and we would develop different types of products. And the mall closed on us. And so we had to decide, were we going to continue with the business or do something else? And I was working a full-time job, Kelly. And so, my mind and heart was on something else, but I knew I had to provide for my family. And so while I was a graphic designer at these other companies, I was still providing for my family with my business on the side. And it just continued to grow from there.
Now, how did you know that the t-shirt decoration was the route to go down? And what were you using to provide those t-shirts?
Well, to be honest with you, it was just a good feeling that nobody was selling t-shirts like I was selling. At the time, you could go buy a Christian shirt, but you would have to go to a Christian bookstore.
Sure.
You couldn't, if you wanted high school apparel, the only way you could get high school apparel was that the coaches, if they had leftover products for the team, because a brand name company provided it to them, then they would give some to the school, or the school would buy these boring T-shirts, and they would have a lot of T-shirts left over at the end of the year. And I started saying, well, they don't have a copyright on those logos or the names. They're owned by the government, the district, and the
Sure.
district didn't have a problem with it. And so I started putting the school names on T-shirts, and like I said, selling them out of the kiosk at the mall. And the kids loved it because they wanted variety. They
Sure.
every day I would hear, we don't like what the school is providing. And then we also had a T-shirt vendor here in Nashville that was up the street from my church. And so I got my business license, and I would go and buy T-shirts from them. And so it was a local provider. So they had everything I needed except the transfers and the heat press machine, which I got from Stahls and Transfer Express. As a matter of fact, can I say this? I got fired from a job, right? A job that allowed me to use their heat press machine. So when they fired me, they said, "Hey man, you're the only one using this heat press machine. You can have it." So that was my first heat press machine from a company that fired me.
Talk about a path being laid, though. Like
Yeah.
you were the one that knew how to use the equipment. They let you go, but they're like, hey, we still want you to be able to use this equipment. So
Right.
they just continue to pave that path for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't think that happens to too many people, that it's like placed in their hands, continue forward, move forward.
Right.
Which is also an excellent testimony that if they're willing to continue to allow you to propel forward, it's just hey, keep going on this path, because that's the path that you are meant to go down.
Yeah. Yeah. It happened that way. Again, I was fired from two jobs. The one job gave me the transfer machine, and the other job said, you do good work here, but your heart is not here. And you need to just go and follow your path. But like I said, I was working because I had to provide for my family, and
Yeah.
the T-shirt business at the time, paying the rent at the kiosk. I tried anything and everything that would propel my business in front of people. And so once we left the kiosk, we kept doing the class reunions. The game day apparel became what we were known for, because we would pack everything in the vehicle, and then we would go to games. So we started going to high school games, and I coached Little League football. And as I coached Little League football, other teams would ask, where you guys getting the apparel from? And then the coaches would say, Coach Jobe over there provides our T-shirts. So then we started getting other Little League teams to come on board. And once we got the other teams to come on board, the rest is history.
So were you, you had the kiosk, right? And I know that there was a pivot in time that allowed you to move away or move on from the kiosk. But were you set up at the kiosk as well as taking equipment to those Little League events, or is that after having the kiosk?
Well, we had the kiosk, and we had the kiosk, but we were not printing on the spot. So we were fulfilling we would just have our shirt screen printed at the time, because we did bulk order screen prints. And then once we ran out of those, I said, this is not working, because, the money was good, but then you had to turn that money around and buy more product. And my wife was like, okay, you're doing this, but we need something to pay some bills, just to be honest. This ain't making money. And so we started looking at how can we expand this. And the expansion was, we've got to be able to take the machine with us. And so we would lug that heavy heat press machine to Little League games or to high school games, and we would print on the spot. We had one heat press. We didn't do customization at the time. We were just putting logos.
It was just the application. Now, was it you pick the shirt, you pick the graphic, we'll apply it for you? Or was it already pre-printed and then you were selling?
No, just like you said, we had the graphics, and you picked the graphics, and then we would you pick the graphics, you pick the shirt you wanted, and then we would apply it for you. Even at the high school reunions, we would have at least 1 to 2 designs, and some of them we only had one design, but we had it where it would go on 2 color shirts. So if
Okay.
they had a red shirt or a blue shirt,
Sure.
the design was created so it could go on those shirts.
So what pivot allowed you to kind of move on from the kiosk into the mobile world? And then we'll dive a little bit deeper. But what was it?
Well, the kiosk shut down, and we went to a conference, and Stahls was at the conference, and it was one of the first times they'd come to Nashville, because I always had to go to Atlanta to the apparel conference, and then you guys came to Nashville. And when you came to Nashville, I saw this rolling GS24, this cut application, because I hated. I would have to buy the what is it, from Stahls, where you had the name and the number on the back already.
Yep.
So we were buying the name and number already pre-assembled and just applying them to stuff. And I said, man, we got to find a way to bring this home. So we went to a conference and we saw the GS24. We bought it right off the floor. And so we had went to a high school game. And like I told you, my wife had gotten upset. She said, you can't keep putting all this equipment in my car. And my neighbor down the street had a U-Haul trailer that he let me borrow. And so we piled everything in the U-Haul trailer. And just so happened the car we had, the Durango, had a hitch on the back of it that we could, pull the trailer with. And we did the event. On the way back home, Spirit said to me, you need to buy a trailer, have it fixed up with a window, lights, electricity. And this is how you can establish your mobile t-shirt business. And so we went from selling out of the back of the car at high school games and little league events to selling out of this trailer. And that is when the mobile printing began for me. It wasn't just a one-time thing. This was something that I realized that, okay, if we can go to little league teams, games, and print on the spot, there's a demand for this, because one, the parents always wanted the child's name on the back. And then you can put a number on it. Oh my God, it was like going to a movie, a premiere or something. we had one event that we sold out. It was a high school event, and it was my alma mater, and we sold out, and they were upset. Like, how do you come and sell out? And we had over 200 t-shirts. I never thought we would sell 200 t-shirts at an event.
It's
and
amazing.
So it's just incredible. One, they'd never seen it like this. They wanted to see how we could print t-shirts on the spot using a heat press machine and these transfers. And they were just amazed. And then to be able to get it the same day, it was incredible for me to be a provider, to be able to give somebody a shirt the same day with their logo, name, and number of their child, that they can go out and walk on their field and cheer their child on. And that's how we made that pivot.
That's what I think is amazing. The fact that you were already kind of popping up right at schools. Yes. I want to say pop up because it was planned in a sense, and you were doing everything possible to be able to still provide those the team wear or spirit wear that you would per se, at those games.
Yes.
But to be able to put it in a vehicle where you don't have to transport that equipment in and out unless you need to, right? Unless you're taking it out for storage purposes. But the fact that you had a way to kind of create your own little shop in a mobile trailer, and then it becomes this flock to, you see the trailer and you got to get there quick. Otherwise you're going to have to wait in line. And you just, if you've sold out, how many times have you sold out of garments?
We've sold out of garments 3 times. And then we had to always look at where we're going, who we're selling to, and what's the and I don't want everybody to think that we're selling 200 shirts all the time. This was the first time.
Sure.
because this was a big event. We were selling 2 high schools. And so, we had 100 shirts for one high school, 100 shirts for another high school. And so my wife has always been my go-to person. She said, we can't work like this. We also sold out, and I'd be amiss if I didn't say this. We did 2 championship Little League games. So we were called in to be the provider of the championship T-shirts. So the Little League, if you're not familiar with Little League sports, they go to a championship, and it may be 25 teams in this championship game,
Yeah.
and whoever wins gets a championship T-shirt. And we had the championship logo. They wanted their name on the sleeves. No, so we did that one game and
That's a
sold
hustle.
out. My wife was like, I can't do this no more. But she did it 3 more times.
Yeah. It's in that moment of that was too intense. I don't want to do this again. Let's do it again. It's like a reset. And you're, okay, I'm ready. So,
but I wanted to say we developed a practice that on the trailer at any given game, we won't have 100 shirts. We may have 65 shirts in 2 colors. And then when the people come up, we take orders. So we have an order form. They fill out the order form, and my wife prepares the shirts and puts the shirts in a particular position. Then I grab the shirts. We text them now with technology. We'll text them that their order is ready. So they can still go and look at the games.
Nice.
And then we'll text them when their shirt is ready, and they'll come pick it up. That makes it that much better.
Now, I just want to give a couple of people watching and listening a little bit of statistics on how big the youth football league industry truly is.
Please do.
I know there's people out there in their own little niche or they're a particular market, and it's I don't ever want to touch sports, and that's okay. Just because somebody is doing, one market doesn't mean that that's the route that you have to go. But I think understanding how big a particular market is also very eye-opening, no matter what industry you go down. And you are featured in an article from Coldesi, and it states that statistics there are 2,500 youth leagues, 10,000 clubs, 125,000 teams, and 3 million kids nationwide.
Yes.
So when you're talking about, specific numbers or teams that you decorate for or events, are you traveling nationwide, or is this in a particular area that you choose to stay in?
We decided that we would stay in Middle Tennessee. So we're in Nashville. And so we will do, like, I live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I lived in Nashville. So we would do teams that's in Murfreesboro, teams that's in Nashville, teams that's in Antioch. Last year was the first time that we did a team in Hendersonville.
Okay.
And the team we did in Hendersonville was a church member, like a family member of mine, and his son played. And they had, and this is by no means a dig at people who do this as a craft or who have cricket. They couldn't fulfill the orders. And he said, Don, this is an opportunity. There's 10 teams over here, 10. And on each team, there's at least 25 to 30 kids. And he said, we can't get apparel. And so we loaded up the truck and we went to Hendersonville, and we became, and it's the Hendersonville Titans, and we became their provider. And so we do hats on the spot. We have the 360 IQ. And so we do hats on the spot. We do hoodies and long sleeve t-shirts and short sleeves right there. So we'll bring everything, and they get to choose which product they want. And it's been a blessing.
With that, with knowing just how large the industry is, or that, the specific market is nationwide, because that's, that's coast to coast, right? Mm-hmm. Did you know how large the opportunity was for you in your area really before you started decorating for your son's, team?
I really didn't, because, like as you stated, my son started playing football in 2001, I think it was, something like that. And then I had a baby boy. So with my first son playing, we found out he had autism, and he liked football, but he didn't like to get hit. And so
Sure.
we always had a thing, that once we start something, we're not going to quit. And he didn't care. Most of the time, he was sitting on the bench looking at the cheerleaders, or and he just wanted to be a part.
Yeah.
And so it was with my second son started playing, and we started doing the whole league, when I realized, oh, there's an opportunity here, because if there were, like, at the time, 10 teams where I was coaching, and none of them had apparel. And then I looked at some of the teams that we were playing; they didn't have apparel. But we only concentrated on the one league we were in.
Sure.
It was when I quit coaching that I realized, oh my God, there's an opportunity here. I've already got the trailer. We've already proven that this can work, because we've been doing this league for this long. So let's start other leagues. And so we went. At that particular time, we had 5 teams. At one time, we had 5 teams
that you were setting up shop for.
That we were setting up shop for, and they played each other. Okay. So if they played each other, that means we could set up and sell for this team and that team, and we would do it. And it was a beautiful thing, And then some people started getting greedy. They tried to undercut my prices.
Sure.
And I would tell any league, I'm not a t-shirt hustler. I'm a t-shirt business person. They're not going to be around long. And that's what always happens. Somebody else will come in, undercut my prices, but then the next season it's like, man, they're gone. They didn't even give us any funds or do anything. They just came in here, sold us cheap t-shirts, and left.
And they're out.
And that's why we distinguished ourselves and came up with the name Team Logo Apparel. We wanted to be more than just a t-shirt hustler.
You are clearly a business, right, that has filled a void. There was there was a problem. There was a missed opportunity from other people. You found that opportunity and you provided solutions. Because you've also grown with word of mouth, which I think I'm hearing from you, because it's, so and so Donn, he's doing RTs. You got to hook up with Donn. What else have you done to gain the plethora of other businesses, or just knowing that there was so much opportunity? Mm-hmm. Did you have to go knock on doors, or was it, you've just been blessed and provided quality product that recommendation has been, the main game changer for you?
Recommendation has definitely been the game changer. We've had our mishaps. There was one school that we did, and it was a big school. The transfers didn't come in on time, and we could only fulfill one area of the t-shirt, and the fans was upset. So we took a loss. Not only did we take a loss on the t-shirts, but we took a loss on the business. And so they didn't want to come back to us. But we had to continue to prove ourselves. And so word of mouth was the biggest thing for me. It wasn't social media, because at that time, to get online, to build a website was like $10,000 just for one page, back in the day.
It was so expensive.
And so it was doing the family reunion shirts. It was building my reputation through that. And then we started getting business from my friends. My friends' companies needed t-shirts because they were having picnics. Or I would also go and knock on a couple of doors. Hey, I would go to restaurants and they would wear t-shirts. And I would tell my wife, man, I can do that. And she said, well, how are you going to get that restaurant's business? I said, well, Transfer Express make transfers. They only got one color. Or I can do film. And so I would come back and get their logo off online, print up a t-shirt, take it to them. Say, hey, man, I can do this, and you don't have to buy 120 shirts, because screen printing, and I don't by no means want to knock down any method, but a lot of people don't need 144 t-shirts. A lot of people don't need 72 t-shirts. And to be able to provide less than 24 pieces to somebody, and they love it, and all you do is use your heat press machine to put it on the fabric. There it is. And so we became the small batch order go-to person. And now we use social media, but again, it's not the. I can look at my social media posts now, and Team Logo Apparel. We only have about people on there, and then my parent company, Bulldog Custom Tees. We only have 340 people looking at that website. So everything we get is through word of mouth. I told him about that, and I'm sorry if I'm talking too long, but like my son with autism, he works for a restaurant. The restaurant's owner's sister lived next to me. And I would go there and say, hey, your brother needs some t-shirts. Well, he had somebody. So 2 years later, I get a phone call. Hey, Donn, you still doing t-shirts? Yeah. And I get those calls all the time, Kelly. Somebody saying you still doing t-shirts. And
the
that's
question.
How I get to do it.
It's the question. Listen, Donn, you've been doing this for a while. You still doing it?
Yeah. and I mean, yeah, I tell them all the time, yeah, what do you need? And again, it's being able to fill that need, whatever that customer's need is. We as a matter of fact, I got an order for my son's restaurant because they have like 10 restaurants, and they're getting ready to open up their one of these restaurants in a college. And she called me up. She said, Donn, she called me on Monday. She said, I need some shirts by Friday. Can you take care of that? And I said, yeah. And so we did our thing, and we'll be printing the shirts today and delivering them Saturday. And so they can open up the restaurant on Monday inside this college.
So let's talk about equipment, because I think that's an excellent way to transition into what you're stacked with, because I know that you have 8 pieces of equipment. It might be more now. But, each piece fulfills different jobs that you are needing to fulfill. So you have 4 presses. Is it 2 auto clams, a cap press, and what other one am I missing?
So I have the hover auto clam. I have an auto clam. We have the 360 IQ, and then we had before we got the 360, we only had the cap press. And so we have the cap press, and then we have the rolling GX24 vinyl cutter.
Yep.
And then we have the Roland SG300, which is the print cut machine. And then we have a Brother GTX DTG machine and the Schultz pre-treater. And so that's all we can.
What do you have when, or are all of those at your house, your garage, or are they loaded in the trailer?
The only thing that we'll load in the trailer is a cap machine, the heat press machine, and the cutter, the small cutter. Yeah. And we do names and numbers with that. So we evolved from we hate weeding. My family hated weeding. And so now we don't do anything that we have to weed, other than when we go do customizations for the leaves, we'll put name and number. That's what we use that for. But the numbers we buy from you guys pre-packaged. So we buy 2 boxes of numbers, and then we're basically just cutting the name.
Now, Donn, you are going in and out on volume for me just a little bit. I don't know if others are experiencing it, but I just wanted to let you know from my point. So repeat the last thing that you just said. Your family doesn't like weeding. So
so we buy boxes of numbers from Stahls, the screen printed numbers. Okay. We'll buy the numbers. And then the only thing we do on the trailer is cut the names. So the people will come up and tell us the last name they want on the back of the shirts, and then we'll cut the names right there on the spot, and then we'll pull the numbers out of the boxes, and of course we'll pull the design out, and that's how we heat press.
So right there, you rely heavily on your heat press, because that's what you're doing. Your fulfillment at these events, and it's the main source of your business, right? Because without the heat press, then what's the point of having a transfer? So are you doing all of the production for your logos or your team logos yourself? Do you outsource? what do you do, and how do you decide when to go print cut, say, versus screen printed transfers?
So we look at how many colors are in a particular design. And so we had two teams. One, let me, I'm sorry. So this is Unibears, right? And so they have three colors in this design. And it got expensive uh, buying three color transfers. So we had to raise our prices, and some of the parents complained about it. And
Sure.
so, but they still bought the stuff. And we would offer alternatives. So we would do a one color logo where if you could only afford a $12 shirt, you can still participate. So we
Sure.
always had the low end and high end. Transfer Express and Stahls did everything for us. We had at one particular time when we bought the DTG machine, we had thought about let's pre-print these shirts and we can make the product, the production, or we can make it go faster. And my wife was like, "No, we don't need any inventory with names on it or with a logo on it because that's money sitting around that we can't sell." And
Yep.
and then with our vendors, you can send T-shirts back. So we would buy enough T-shirts to fulfill the order, buy enough transfers, because our goal was if we could pay for the transfers and the T-shirts are paid for, and whatever we sent back, that's what we made, or that was our income. We were happy with it, and so we never do anything with DTG other than if somebody wants a fast return. So if somebody comes to me and they say, "Hey, I need T-shirts by Friday. Can you do it?" If they got over three colors in it, then I'm gonna use my DTG machine because now that you guys have it where you can order DTF and get that next day. If
Yeah.
it's a large enough order, I'll use you guys. Now we've turned our DTG machine into a DTF a machine, and so we can do DTF instantly for those that want them same day. So it's been we look at to answer your question, we'll look at what the customer is asking us to do, how many colors in that design, and what's the best way to produce it in an efficient way that we can turn that product around to the customer in the time frame we told them we can do it in.
Which is
But
oh, go ahead. No, finish.
which all our youth league T-shirts, like this one, there's a gradient in the design. When we go do youth league teams, we always use Transfer Express transfers, and that's what we do. So no matter what it is, if we're going to do a mobile print, we're going to bring transfers with us because they're going to ask us to come back. So we always buy enough transfers where we make you use those transfers throughout the season.
That's such a great little tip for everybody to understand that, being able to produce things in-house is important, but then also utilizing, businesses around you to order in transfers, depending on the job, right? If you've got 12
Yeah.
and you can knock it out in-house, then boom, get it done. But if you are doing something where the expectation is you're going to have 150 garments, send that out and
Yeah.
get those transfers back. That way you can utilize that time to produce those smaller orders. And then you can just, heat apply as needed, the larger amount that you've brought in. And it's okay to do both in-house
Yeah.
and out of house. Now, we had a couple of questions come in. So let's answer those really quick. And then I am going to ask you two more questions. And then we will end our time, which I know we could probably do a part 2 on this. But one question from Carol was, did you use a generator for the van?
Yes. We bought our generator, and as a matter of fact, this is a good thing for her to understand. I did not know what size generator to use, and even to this day, I didn't know because last year I had to use two generators because of this team right here. We had two heat press machines, and I'm sorry, I used one generator. This year I have to use two because I had put two heat press machines on it with the heat press or the cap press, and my generator kept going off.
Sure.
And so I found out that each heat press has 1,800 what do you call it, watts.
Watts, yeah.
And so my generator wasn't big enough. And so make sure you find a generator that can handle the 1,800 watts for your heat press machine, each heat press machine. So you might need one with 5,000 watts if you're going to run 2 heat press machines. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, that's a great little bit of information. That way you're not constantly adding more and more equipment, right, to what you're already taking.
Yeah. And if you're going to get a trailer, they have to put a power box on it. And so we plug into the power box. We plug the generator into the power box. And that's how we get the power throughout the trailer.
That's great. Great news. Okay. So next question is, do you charge more for a shirt made on the spot versus shirt ordered and shipped later?
No, we wanted to stay consistent with our pricing. It doesn't matter if you buy it online, because we do host the teams online, or you buy it on the spot. We look at all of our costs, how much it costs to produce the transfer, how much was the T-shirt, the gas of the vehicle. We have indirect pricing and direct pricing, and all of that goes into how we price our product. And so if they're buying it online, you got to ship it. And so we make sure that shipping comes in on the end. If they want to pay shipping, they'll continue to purchase the product. If they don't want to pay the $9 or $12 for shipping, then they'll walk away. But we're giving them an alternative. You can buy it at the game, or you can buy them online. Online, we're going to stop doing the customization, and we're just going to continue to do the customization in the mobile trailer.
In person. That's yes. I'm sure that makes it a little bit easier on production on the back end in your facility or your area versus just the trailer. Okay, so another question that I think also leads into obstacles is, how do you know how much product to take to an event or a game?
So again, I got to give credit to my wife. She has become the phenomenal POS system operator, and looking at what I'm doing. And so we looked at an average. She said, we got to stop taking all these T-shirts because we're sending too many back.
Sure.
And so she said, well, the average T-shirt that amount we sell, we do about 50 to 60 pieces per team. And then there are those teams that we know we're not going to get 50 shirts out of. And so we narrowed it down that we will take, if we do 2 colors, we'll take 36 pieces of each color. And so that'll give us 72 shirts. And we basically look at the team, how many kids they have, and our first time out tells us everything. And so with Hendersonville, this was the first time I had to buy bulk, hundreds of shirts. And I had boxes with shirts in them with sizes. These are the small, extra large. And so we were selling out every time we went to them. And so this year, when we go back to them, we know that we need at least 125 of each color.
I think a lot of that talks or speaks to the amount of experience that you have, that, you just didn't enter into this world of knowing exactly, or a formula on how many garments to provide. Yeah. This is years of experience, trial and error. There's always going to be obstacles, yes. And I think this is going to be the last question, but I think it's a testament to the amount of pivots that you've gone through with the last 27 years of, you being in business, as you've had a ton of experience. You've pivoted from one market to going into a kiosk and providing, print on demand, going into sports, figuring out how to make that happen. So for somebody that is maybe looking to take a pivot in their business, they know it's time, something needs to happen, or maybe they're just trying to figure out, I know I want to start a t-shirt business, but I'm scared, I'm nervous. What is a piece of advice or something that you wish you would have known sooner than later about everything that you have accomplished or gone through?
Fear. Do not be afraid. Uh, it took me getting fired twice. Uh, it took me doing things or working jobs as a graphic designer that I did not want to do. I stayed at a job for 18 years and I should have left a long time ago. And I went to another job. Fear, the fear of the unknown. I was fired last year, and I didn't get upset. I didn't get mad. I said, "Okay, God, what's next?" And He said, "You have a garage full of equipment." He said, "I've given you the power to get wealth." And what I mean by wealth is not to be rich, but to take care of yourself, you know. And so I would tell a person, don't be afraid to step out. Step out at your comfort zone. And if you get comfortable in this zone, then do something else. Go a little bit further. You can't stay comfortable in one area. Oh, I'm about to make myself cry. You can't stay comfortable in one area, because when you get comfortable in one area, that's when you think you've succeeded, and you haven't. That's a world out there. I tell people all the time, I'm not threatened by your business. If we can do business together, then we both can grow. This is a massive industry. And screen printers are finding out that the crafters, that the mom and pop shops like me, that the people that want to get into this business are really interrupting what they're doing, and now they have to pivot, because everybody don't want 500 shirts. Everybody don't want 2,000 shirts. There's somebody out there waiting on you to present or to produce 6 shirts for them. And then if you can produce 6 shirts for them, you can produce 12 for somebody else. So don't let the fear paralyze you and keep you from doing what you want to do. Do your research. Find out what's happening. Are you in one of those areas where there's a lot of tourism? If are there a lot of sports teams? Do they have reunions a lot? Find out what's happening in your city and then cater to that, and then everybody else will start coming. And I just want to say, don't be afraid. I didn't have a bank. Banks still tell me no, but I had equity. I had a car. My dad died, and he left me this car, and I needed a piece of equipment. And the bank said, "Do you have any equity?" I said, "Well, I got this sports car." Oh, they said that's worth $30,000. I said, "What?" They gave me 30K to go out and buy some equipment based off of that car. And my philosophy is they can come get the car, but they ain't gonna get this equipment. And so just don't be afraid and find ways, creative ways to finance what you need. And if you know, and it's like we talked when we first got on the phone, all you need is a heat press machine. Get the heat press machine, find you a provider, a source that can get you the transfers you need. Because if you get a heat press machine, if you find a company like Stahls or Transfer Express, which they're sister companies that can provide you with the material, you're there. You don't need nothing else. You just need a heat press machine, transfers, and the willingness to get out there and get it done.
Donn, I think you, like I told you when we first started chatting, that I just admire so much about you and everything you've created, and especially that you're continuing to create for your family. With your wealth of knowledge, experience, and inspiration, I think just continuing to talk about the ability to propel forward is huge. And I greatly appreciate your time today and this experience of being able to chat and learn, about you, your business, and your family. I really do appreciate it. I would love for you to be able to share your social media or your Instagram handle, Facebook. There's been a couple of other questions that people have asked, and whether they can connect with you outside, through social media. If you would love that, then please feel free to tell them how to get in touch with you.
Yes, you can contact me at bulldogcustomtees.com. Tees is Tees. So bulldogcustomtees.com, or you can find me at teamlogoapparel.com. My Instagram is Team Logo Apparel, and then Bulldog Custom Tees, if that makes sense. So
Awesome.
I'm on Instagram at Bulldog Custom Tees, and you can get in touch with me. My information is on my website. If you want to contact me, I don't give out my number because it's not, it's my personal phone, but it's a business number. But you can reach me through my website.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We went a little over, but like I said, you're just full of knowledge and information, and sometimes the people just need to hear it, right? So,
yes. And I just love helping and talking to people. And Kelly, I'm glad. I just want to say I'm glad that you guys are doing this, because when I started, it was not there, and now that you guys have the information to give to people to help them grow their companies and their business. Because like I said, I started with $45, and to be where I am now, from 1996 to now, and be talking to you guys, it's nothing but God, and it's a blessing for me. And I really appreciate sharing what I've done to help another business grow.
Well, to those of you listening, tuning in right now live, or maybe you're catching it on replay, thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you that are maybe catching it late, this is Donn Jobe Sr., and it has been a pleasure getting to chat with you, and we will talk to you guys soon.